greatest racetrack in the world.
We're green flag racing at the Brickyard here in the greatest race of the year.
What's going on, everybody? Caleb here. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day one of Indy 250 qualifications here for the 11th running of the Indianapolis 250. And it's going to be an important day for a lot of these guys. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here today. And we are very excited to see who will be our Fast 9 drivers who will be going for the pole tomorrow. And it's going to be interesting to see who our last 9 drivers will be that go to bump day tomorrow. But we will be setting the Fast 9, last 9, as well as the 10th through 27th starting spots here today. And of course, usual rules, 1 lap per driver and all that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here today. It's mid-low 70s here today, cloudy weather and a little bit of wind. So could potentially see times a little similar to last year, maybe a little bit slower. Maybe somewhere in the 40 to 41 range. But we'll just have to see how things go here in qualifying. Qualifying order displayed on your screen right now. It was determined it's the inverse of the order from main practice, slowest to quickest. So John Stewart, who was the slowest in main practice, will be going out first, and Bruno Diacomo, who topped main practice, will be going out last. But it's going to be, order doesn't really matter, it's going to be the same conditions for everybody, so everyone will have the same and fair chance. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here today. But let's get our first car out on track, and we'll get single car qualifying underway here for Indy 250 qualifying day 1. And here we go, our first driver coming out for Indianapolis 250 qualifying. We've got the number 23 of John Stewart here in this Vision Motorsports Honda. And John Stewart's had a bit of a tough season so far up to this point. Coming into this event, he's 24th in the standings. Does have a top 5 on the year so far, but looking to potentially turn this season around. Have to see how he does here in qualifying. He's going to be setting, he's the first one out, so he'll be setting the benchmark for all these guys coming up. But here we go. Coming down the front straightaway, coming across the line, it's going to be 220 for John Stewart. As he goes across the line, he's going to hit 222 before he goes into turn number 1. Turn 2 is going to go down to 212. And here he goes down the back straightaway. We'll see how quick he gets into turn number 3. It's going to be 223. As he enters 3 and 4. And in turn 4, he's going to get down to 211. So down the front straightaway, John Stewart is going to set the benchmark with a 41.024. So that'll be the benchmark for the rest of these guys. As the session goes on, we'll have to see how that time stands as we get everybody else out there, but let's get to our next driver here in Indy 250 single car qualifying. Next driver out on track here for Indy 250 qualifying. We've got the number 79 of Trey Smith. Trey Smith, a Indy 250 winner back in 2022. Looking to potentially get his second Indianapolis 250 victory. Hasn't had the best of seasons leading up to this, though. Otter Island Motorsports as a whole have had more than their fair share of struggles, to say the least, so far this season. And Trey Smith enters the Indianapolis 250 21st in the point standings. But looking to potentially turn their season around over there at that organization. But here we go. Trey Smith, he's going to come across the line at 220, just like John Stewart. Gonna get to 221, though, going into turn number 1. Stewart was able to hit 222. Have to see, though. Turn 2 is going to minimize at 212. Pretty sure Stewart minimized at 211 there. And down the back straightaway going into turn 3. He's going to reach 224 in turns 3 and 4. Have to see, this might be quicker than John Stewart. We'll have to see. Minimizes at 211 through turn 4. Down the front straightaway. We'll see where he clocks in at the line. It's going to be a 41.053. So a little bit slower than the 23 of John Stewart. And he's going to slot in right now at the second position here for Indy 250 single car qualifying. Next out on the track, we've got our first for our full-time rookies this season. We've got the number 59 of Dylan Mathews for Appalachia Motorsports. Mathews, I believe, was actually a team owner last season, owner of Team Minnesota, but decided to switch it over to driving duties this year, and has had a pretty good season so far up to this point. Coming into this race, 11th in the points standings. So a very, very solid rookie campaign so far for the number 59 of Dylan Mathews. But here we go, coming down the front straightaway to start her lap. See, across the line, it's going to be 220 for the 59 of Dylan Mathews, and is going to get to 222 going into turn number 1. See where she minimizes in turn 2, 230. Just barely got down to 212. But just barely. Have to see how fast she gets. 224. Holds that for quite a while. I think this might be the quickest time that we've seen so far. And it's going to minimize to 211 in turn 4. Here we go. Down the front straightaway. Dylan Mathews, she's going to clock in at a 40.947, and that is going to top John Stewart and Trey Smith's time, and it's going to be the first 40 that we see so far today. So good lap there for Dylan Mathews, and we'll have to see how that time will stand for her as we get all these other guys onto the racetrack. Next up, we've got the number 13 of Max Anderson there for Wisconsin Speedworks. Ooh. Although would probably like to forget about what happened at Richmond, he's actually had a very good season up to this point, coming into this race 7th in the point standings, and actually has the most top 10s. Well, actually, Anderson, along with Luna Lomana, have the most top 10s on the year out of everybody in the field. So Anderson, he's quietly had a very good year and is up there in the championship hunts. We'll have to see what he can do here in qualifying today. Cross the line, though. 219 for Max Anderson, and it's going to reach 220 going into turn number 1. This is not looking like a good lap so far for Max Anderson. Going to get down to 211 through turn 2. See how quick he gets down the back straightaway. He's going to reach 223, and he's going to hold it for a little bit. But not looking good for the 13 of Max Anderson here today. going to get down to 2:10 in turn 4. This is probably going to be the slowest time on the board so far. He's going to clock in at a 41.123. That's going to put him 4th for the time being. But, yeah, not a good lap there from the 13 of Max Anderson. We'll have to see how the rest of the times go so far, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Next up, we've got the number 50 of Skyler Taylor. They're dropping for BO Racing in that 50 Chevrolet. BO Racing's kind of had an up and down season so far. And while Avery Alford's had a pretty solid season so far, got the win at Coda and is up there in points. It's been a bit of a struggle for Skyler Taylor so far this season, coming into this race 23rd in the points standings. And there's even times where it looked like Taylor might have a solid run, but unfortunately things just did not work out. But Taylor looking to turn their season around. We'll have to see if the Indianapolis 250 can be the turning point for that team. Across the line, just barely 219 before they hit 220, and it's going to reach 221 going into turn 1. See, they're going to minimize at 212 there through turn 2. And into turn 3, they're going to reach 224, just barely. So I'd say this will probably be around, maybe between Trey Smith and Max Anderson. Going to minimize at 211 off of turn number 4. And coming to the line, it is going to be a 41.066 for Skyler Taylor. That'll put them 4th on the board between Trey Smith and Max Anderson. We'll have to see how that time holds for Taylor. We'll have to see as the rest of these guys go out. Here we go. Got a big one here. Nicolas Samudio. And that 88 for Webb Racing Enterprises. A 2-time Indy 250 champion back in 2018 and in 2020. Looking for his 3rd Indianapolis 250 here next weekend. Samudio's had a pretty good season so far. Had a bit of a hiccup last race at the Indianapolis Road Course. It's dropped him down to 13th in points. But still, nevertheless, a good season so far for Mr. Edge himself, Nicolas Samudio. And we'll have to see if he can indeed get his 3rd Indianapolis 250. But across the line, just barely got to the top of 219. He's going to get to 221 in turn 1. See through turn 2, going to minimize at 212. So it looks like this is going to be around Skyler Taylor's time. See, he's going to reach 224 going into turn 3. And turn 4, we'll see where he minimizes at. It's going to be 211 for Samudio. So I'd say this is probably going to be around Taylor and Smith's time. Coming across the line, 41.014. That's actually going to put him 2nd on the board so far, behind Mathews, but ahead of John Stewart. So a very solid lap time there for the 88 of Nicolas Samudio. Mr. Edge is looking pretty good here so far. Next up, got the number 8 of Tanner Partin for Vision Motorsports. So Vision Motorsports will be the first team to have both of their cars complete a lap here in today's session. But Tanner Partin, he's had a solid season so far up to this point, coming into this event 15th in point standings. Had a really good run last race at the Indianapolis Road Course earlier this week. Have to see how he does here today. But starting to see kind of a benchmark form of where you want to be. Looks like about 41.0 is where you kind of want to be right now. But across the line, Partin is going to cross it at a 220. He's going to get to 221 before he gets into turn number 1. Through turn 2, going to minimize at 212. So looking like a pretty solid lap time so far for the number 8 of Tanner Partin. Through turn 3. And into turn 4, we'll see where he minimizes. It's going to be 211 for Tanner Partin down the front straightaway. Tanner Partin is going to clock in at a 41.035. That's going to put him right between the 23 of John Stewart and the 79 of Trey Smith. So, solid lap time there from the 8 of Tanner Partin. And like I said, I think 41.0 is probably going to be the benchmark that these guys want to try to get. And it looks like if you can get into the 40s, I think that's where some of our Fast 9 times might be. But we'll just have to wait and see how things go here for the rest of qualifying. Next out on the racetrack, we've got the number 95 of Richard Kinghart. There in for Nathan Ormond Motorsports. Back full-time in the IndyCar Series since 2022. And it's not been the best of seasons so far for Richard Kinghart. Coming into this race 26th in the point standings. Been a struggle for him so far this year on the channel, over in the Wawa Cup Series as well. But have to see how he does here in the Indianapolis 250. Just have to see how things go. But coming down the front straightaway to start his lap. See how quick he gets across the line. Is he going to get to 220? Yes, he is. And into turn number 1, he's going to get to 222 just barely before he has to let out of the gas. We'll see where he minimizes in turn number 2. 212. Looking like a fast lap here for Richard Kinghart. See how quick he gets going into turn number 3. Is he going to reach 224? Yes, he is. And he's going to hold that for a minute. This could potentially challenge Dylan Mathews' time. We'll have to see. It's gonna. Oh, yeah, didn't have the best turn 4 there. Got down to 210. So it might be a little bit slower than the 59. We'll have to see across the line. He's going to clock in at a 41.073. So that is going to put him between Taylor and Anderson. I think that turn 4 is unfortunately what kind of killed his lap there. Looked like he had a good one going, and looks like he got out of the gas just a little too much there. So, real unfortunate break there for Richard Kinghart. We'll have to see if his time holds up. We'll just have to wait and see how things go. Here we go for our 9th driver out on track here today. We've got our first of the Indy 250 only entry. So, you've got the number 3 of Pria McShane driving for Dog Pound Incorporated. And a lot of buzz in this car going into this week, as this is effectively the car that won last season's Indianapolis 250 with Angel Gutierrez at the helm. Have to see how well it does this year with Pria McShane behind the wheel. Be interesting to see how this number 3 fares. It'll be Pria's first ever start here in the IndyCar Series, if she can make the race. We'll just have to wait and see across the line. It's just barely going to be 219 for Pria McShane. Going to get up to 221 before going into 1's going to hold that for a little bit. Through turn 2, going to minimize at 212. Down the back straightaway. Looking like a pretty solid lap so far for Pria McShane. Going to reach... Barely going to reach 224 going into turn 3. And through turn 4, going to minimize at 211 for McShane. Looking like a pretty solid lap here in the making. Cross the line, McShane's going to clock in at a 41.085. So That is actually going to be between Kinghart and Anderson in 8th place. So, all these lap times have been really close so far. Unfortunately for McShane, gonna put her in the 8th position at the time being. We'll just have to wait and see how things go from here on out. But not looking the best right now so far for Pria McShane. Next driver out, we've got another Dog Pound Incorporated ride. We've got the number 81 of Zachary Fitzwater, the winningest IndyCar Series driver in the field, but still looking for his first Indianapolis 250. I have to see if he can get it done this year. He's had a great season so far up to this point, won at Auto Club, and coming into this race 3rd in the point standings. It's been a good year for Zachary Fitzwater over here in the IndyCar Series. But we're now at the point, I'm pretty sure, where we can start at least guaranteeing drivers a spot in the Indianapolis 250, because all they should need to have is 9 cars that are slower than them, or set slower times. So we'll just have to see. Fitzwater, 2:19 across the line, 2:20 into turn 1. Have to see. Through turn 2, going to minimize at 2:11. Not looking too good so far here for Zachary Fitzwater. See how quick he gets into turn 3. Is he going to reach 2:24? No. He's going to stick it at 2:23. And through turn 4, going to minimize at 2:10. Not looking good here for Zachary Fitzwater. This will probably be between McShane and Anderson. It's going to be a 41.130. It's the slowest time we've seen so far. So real unfortunate there for Zachary Fitzwater. But Dylan Mathews, I'm pretty sure I can confidently say, will at least be guaranteed a spot in the 2024 Indy 250. Alright, next one out on the racetrack. We've got the number 55 of Noah Clifton. Clifton entering this race 30th in the point standings. However, looking to turn this season around. Got a podium finish at the NTT Data Grand Prix of Indianapolis. So, looking to go in the right direction for that Dracoan racing team. Have to see how he does here in qualifying here today. Coming in with a lot of momentum. A lot of much needed momentum and confidence. Let's see how he does here today. Coming down the front straightaway. Gonna hit 2:19 across the line. But gonna hold it at 2:21 going into turn 1. To turn 2. Gonna minimize at 2:12 for Clifton. Down the back straightaway into turn 3. Is he going to get up to 2:24? Yes, he is. He's going to hold it for a second there as he goes through turn 3 and through turn 4. See where he minimizes here. Going to minimize at 2:11 for Clifton. So, pretty solid lap, all things considered, for Clifton. We'll see where he clocks in at. And it's going to be a 41.079 there for Clifton. That's going to put him right between Richard Kinghart and Pria McShane. So, decent lap there for Noah Clifton, and that should guarantee Nicolas Samudio a spot in the 2024 Indy 250. Next out on the racetrack, we've got the number 73 of Chris Reynolds. Reynolds has had a really good year so far up to this point. Going into the Indianapolis 250, 6th in the standings. Fortunately, Durrani Racing had a bit of a rough patch last race at the Indianapolis road course. But looking to turn it around here for the Indy 250. We'll have to see how they do. But Reynolds Gonna come off at turn 4 for his outlap, and he's gonna start his flying lap here as he comes down the front straightaway. You'll see across the line, he is gonna reach 220, and into turn 1, he's just barely gonna reach 222 as he goes through turn number 1. We'll see where he minimizes that in turn 2. Gonna minimize at 212, looking like a really good lap here so far for Chris Reynolds. Let's see, 223, 224. And he's going to hold 224 for quite a bit before he goes into turn 3. This is looking like a fast lap here for the 73. Into turn 4, going to minimize at 211. This one could potentially rival Dylan Mathews' time. Here we go, cross the line. Chris Reynolds clocks in at a 40.962. Just barely slower than Mathews, I believe. And yes, that will put Chris Reynolds behind Mathews, but ahead of Samudio. But still a very good lap there from Chris Reynolds. That could even potentially be Fast 9 worthy. You'll just have to wait and see how things go. But also that lap is going to lock himself into the Indianapolis 250. So great stuff there from the 73 of Chris Reynolds. Next up, we've got the number 97 of Aaron Abel for NS Racing, and that 97. Abel's had a pretty up and down year so far. Coming into this race, 18th in the point standings. NS Racing as a whole has kind of struggled a little bit, but Abel's trying to turn this season around. Hopefully his teammate Jay Knapp looking to potentially do the same as well. But Aaron Abel, see what he can do here on his qualifying lap. Finished 3rd in points last season in 2023. See what he can do. Cross the line. It's going to be 219. And is going to stay around 221 there for a little bit going into turn 1. See where he minimizes here in turn 2. It's going to minimize at 212. And down the back straightaway, we'll see where he gets going into turn number 3. He's going to reach 224. And through turn 4, let's see, he's going to minimize at 211. Down the front straightaway, Aaron Abel is going to clock in at a 41.045. That is going to put him between Tanner Partin and Trey Smith. It's going to be 6th provisionally for that number 97 of Aaron Abel. Solid lap time for that NS Racing driver. And that will guarantee John Stewart a slot in the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Next up, we've got the number 51 of Loudovick Charette, the Indy 250 only entry for Scuderia Team Velocistar. And Charette looking to make his first start here in the Haas IndyCar Series. I believe Charette ran the Freedom 50 last year, but we're going to take on the big leagues here this year. Won the 2023 Turkey Hill Truck Series Championship. Now driving the 51 over on the Wawa Cup Series as well for Grattan Autosport. Have to see how he does here today, though. Let's see, coming across the line, he's going to reach 220. And he's going to hold it at 221 for quite a while as he goes into turn 1. Going to minimize at 212 through turn 2. And down the back straightaway, looking very solid so far for Loudovick Charette going into 3. Is he going to reach 224? He is going to reach 224. And here we go, turn 4. See where he minimizes here. Gonna minimize it to 11. This is looking like a really solid lap here for Loudovick Charette. Let's see where he clocks in at the stripe. It's gonna be a 41.025. 5. That's going to put him provisionally in 5th position. And Charette, with that lap, is going to lock himself into the Indianapolis 250. Great lap for Loudovick Charette. And in his first attempt, he will be in the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Next up here, we've got the number 99, Brad Stover. Driving here for Webb Racing Enterprises. Stover had a bit of an up and down season up to this point. Comes into this race 17th in the point standings. Have to see what he can do here in this year's Indianapolis 250. Driving for a new team. I believe this team did race in the Indy 250 though last year. But we'll have to see what he can do. Coming to the line is Fitzwater. He is going to reach 220 as he gets to the line. And is going to get to 222 before he goes into turn number 1. See through turn 2. He's going to minimize at 212. Looking pretty good so far here for Brad Stover. We'll see how quick he can get going into turn 3. Is he going to reach 224? Yes, he is. Reached 224 for a second there. And let's see through turn 4. Stover is going to minimize there at 211. Coming to the line, Brad Stover is going to clock in at a 41.001, almost a 41 flat, and that's going to put him provisionally in 3rd position, and that lap is going to lock Brad Stover into the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Great job there from Stover and that team. Looking pretty good here so far. Next out on the racetrack, we've got the number 5, Bradyn Perez. There for Appalachia Motorsports. He's had a great season so far. Entering this race 12th in the point standings. So far a great first full-time season there for Braden Perez, along with teammate Dylan Mathews. Currently holds the fastest time of the session right now. I have to see what teammate Braden Perez can do here, but starting to close in on halfway through the session. Got Angel Gutierrez and Igor Barreto to finish out the first half, and then we will get into the second half of qualifying. But Braden Perez going to hit 219 across the line. Is going to reach 221 going into turn 1. I have to just see how the rest of the lap goes. Going to minimize at just barely 211. Managed to about stay at 212 throughout turn 2. Let's see, into turn 3, he's going to reach 223. Then at turn 4, he's going to minimize here he's going to be able to stick it at 211. But here he comes across the line. Braden Perez is going to clock in at a 41.107. That's going to put him provisionally 14th between Pria McShane and Max Anderson. So, not the best lap there from Braden Perez, but we'll have to see how it all factors in once everybody else runs their laps. But with that, Tanner Partin should now be locked into the 2024 Indianapolis 250. So now both Division Motorsports cars have now locked themselves into the race. So good stuff there from that team. Here we go. Got a big name coming up here. We've got the number 49 of Angel Gutierrez, your 2023 Indianapolis 250 champion. Now running their first full-time season there for Trackhouse Racing. I know Angel's definitely excited for this one. I have to see what he can do. It's been a bit of a struggle so far this season for Gutierrez, coming into this race 19th in the point standings. But we definitely know he knows how to get it done here in the Indianapolis 250. Have to see what he can do for that Trackhouse Racing team. Coming down the front straightaway to the line, Gutierrez is going to reach 219 before he gets to the line, and is going to get to 221 just barely before he gets into turn 1. Through turn 2, he's going to minimize at 211. Down the back straightaway into turn number 3 is Gutierrez. Not quite going to get up to 224. And in turn 4, going to minimize at 211. Not looking like the best lap here from Angel Gutierrez. We'll see where that puts him at the line. Going to clock in at a 41.132. I believe that is the slowest time so far today. And yes, it is 2/1000ths of a second slower than Zachary Fitzwater. And that's going to put Gutierrez provisionally in 17th at the moment. Not what Gutierrez wanted to see, and now is potentially going to be in danger of going to the last 9 shootout. So really tough break there for Gutierrez, but that's going to lock Aaron Abel into the 2024 Indianapolis 250. I've got one more car left to go here before we get to the second half here in Indianapolis. Next driver out here on the racetrack, I got the number 35 of Igor Barreto, the Indy 250 on the entry for Appalachia Motorsports. And this will be Barreto's first IndyCar Series start here since the 2022 Indianapolis 250. I'll have to see how well he fares here for the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Last car out here in the first half of qualifying. Have to see how things go here for Igor Barreto. Coming to the line, we'll see what kind of speed he clocks in at the line. It's going to be 219 for Barreto, and he's going to get to 221 going into turn number 1. See in turn 2, going to minimize out at 212. Down the back straightaway into turn 3 for Barreto. Is he going to get up to 224? Not quite. He's going to stay at 233. Or 223, excuse me, for a little bit there. And in turn 4, going to minimize at 211. But Barreto back to the stripe. Gonna clock in a 41.095. Believe that'll be right between Pria McShane and Braden Perez. Gonna clock in 14th provisionally at the moment. But that being said, that will lock Trey Smith into the 2024 Indianapolis 250. And we are now halfway there for our 36 qualifying runs for the 2024 Indianapolis 250. And here we go. We're into the second half now of day 1 of Indy 250 single car qualifying. And coming on now, we've got the number 38 of Logan Williams for American Motorsports. Williams won the NTT Data Grand Prix of Indianapolis this week, back on Thursday. Also won earlier in the season at the In-N-Out Indy, California at Riverside. So, the second driver on the season to pick up multiple victories. And looking to potentially get his first Indianapolis 250, but 220 cross the line for Logan Williams. Gonna get to 222 before going into turn 1. See where he minimizes that in turn 2. It's gonna be 212 for Logan Williams. Looking solid so far. See how quick he gets into turn 3. Not quite going to reach 224, but he did hold 223 for quite a bit. And in turn 4, going to minimize at 211. So probably it'd be a solid high 41.0 lap here for Logan Williams. Let's see, cross the line. He's going to clock in at a 41.03 or 53. Excuse me. That actually ties him with Trey Smith's at the exact same time. But I'll have to see how that will all play out. But yeah, I think, with that time, that will lock Logan Williams into the 2024 Indianapolis 250. So good stuff there from one of our race winners here earlier on this week. Next out on the racetrack to set a time, we've got the number 27 of Ace Garcia for Dutch Atlantis Racing. Garcia entered this weekend, not looking the best in points. Had a pretty rough season outside of Riverside, but has got a lot of much-needed momentum throughout Indy 250 week. Got a second place finish at the Indianapolis Road Course, and has climbed his way up to 16th in points heading into the Indianapolis 250. So got himself some much-needed momentum and confidence heading into this big event. Doesn't want to repeat last year, where he unfortunately DNQ'd from the race. Let's see if he can turn things around here today. 220 across the line. 222 into turn 1. He actually hit 220 quite a bit before he hit the line. Let's see where he minimizes in turn 2. 212. This is looking like a very good lap here so far for Ace Garcia. See how quick he can get into turn number 3. Can he get up to 224? He is at 224. This could be a really great lap here for Ace Garcia. Have to see if he can hold it through turn 4. Minimizing at 211 down the front straightaway for the final time. This might be a fast 9 time right here across the line for Ace Garcia. It is a 40.996. That's going to put him third provisionally on the board between Chris Reynolds and Brad Stover. What an incredible lap there for Ace Garcia. And after DNQing last year, this lap is going to lock him in to the 2024 Indianapolis 250 and might even give him a berth in the Fast 9. Here we go, the man of the hour here in the 2024 Haas IndyCar Series season. It's your current points leader, the 54 of Bradley Bradshaw for Scuderia Team Velocity. And like I said, this Bradshaw has had an absolutely crazy season so far. He's won 3 races, and actually Scuderia Team Velocity as a whole have won 4 races, so that team has been absolutely on fire. But all 3 of Bradshaw's wins have came on ovals so far this season. In fact, Scuderia Team Velocity has won 4 of the 5 ovals that we've gone to, with the exception of Zachary Fitzwater Auto Club. But already this is looking quick. 220 across the line, 222 into turn 1. Like Garcia, Bradshaw also hit 220 a little ways before he hit the line, minimizing at, just barely hit 212. Almost kept that at 213 through turn 2. Oh, this is looking quick so far for Bradshaw. He's going to hit 224. Not quite going to hit 225. But no surprise, Bradshaw's looking quick here today through turn 4. Minimizes at 211. And this might be an appearance in the Fast 9 for our points leader across the line. Bradley Bradshaw is going to clock in at a 40.985. That's going to put him third provisionally between Reynolds and Garcia. And there is a good chance that your points leader, Bradley Bradshaw, is going to be going to the Fast 9 here for the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Coming out onto the track now we've got our 2019 Indianapolis 250 champion, Audra Baranauskas, driving the number 33 for Dutch Atlantis Racing. Baranauskas has had quite the struggle so far this season, coming into this race 20th in points. And to say the least, it has been an up and down Indy 250 week for that 33 so far. Topped, had the fastest time at Indy 250 full-time practice, and then had that moment of all time, turn 1, lap 1 at the Indianapolis road course, but Audra Baranauskas 221 across the line, and is going to get to 223 before turn 1. We've not seen that at all so far this session. It's just been 220 across the line, and is going to minimize at 213 through turn 2. Oh, already up to 225. 225 for Baranauskas into 3. I think we're about to see a new quickest time here. Through turn 4, minimizing at 212. Baranauskas down the front straightaway. This is going to be a fast time here. Cross the line, clocking in at a 40.774. And we have a new driver at the top of the board here at Indy 250 qualifying. And by 2/10, your 2019 Indy 250 champion goes to the top. Out on the track next, we've got our reigning Haas IndyCar Series champion and winner of the Oracle Fort Worth 125K earlier this year. We've got the number 16 of Luna for Scuderia Team Velocista. And Luna switching over to the brand new team from the championship winning Dog Pound Incorporated. It was an interesting move, but so far it has very much paid off for Luna. Coming into this race, 5th in the standings. And Scuderia Team Velocista as a whole has just been on fire with that duo of Luna and Bradley Bradshaw. Bradshaw looking pretty good there up in the Fast 9 at the moment. We'll see what Luna can do, although that's 219 across the line, 221 into turn 1. Not looking the best so far for Luna. We'll see it through turn 2, minimizing at 212. See how quick Luna can get down the back straightaway into turn 3. Gonna reach 224 though. It's gonna be an interesting lap here. Through turn 4, gonna minimize at 211. So, better second half of the lap than the first. We'll see where Luna is going to clock in at the line. It's going to be a 41.082. That will put Luna in 17th at the moment provisionally between Noah Clifton and Pria McShane. So, not the best lap there for Luna. Let's see, that will lock in. That will lock in the 50 of Skyler Taylor. So Skyler Taylor now locked in to the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Luna, a little bit of a struggle for our 2023 champion here in qualifying. Next out on the racetrack, our 24th driver here today to make a lap. So after this, we'll be 2/3 of the way through Day 1 of Indy 250 single car qualifying. But here we've got the number 75 of Justin Zeidel for Otter Island Motorsports. Otter Island Motorsports, like I said, as a whole has had a lot of struggles so far this season. Trey Smith looking to try and turn things around. It's not been as good, though, for Justin Zeidel. Currently enters 28th in the point standings. But like his teammate Trey Smith, looking to turn his season around. And what better place to do that than here at the Indianapolis 250. We'll see what he can do here during his lap. Cross the line. It's going to be 219 for Justin Zeidel. Going to be 221 there into turn 1. Let's See where he minimizes through turn 2. Gonna minimize at 212 for Zaidel. Down the back stretch, we'll see how quick he can get into turns 3 and 4. He's not gonna get up to 224. Thought he might there just for a second, but stayed at 223 there for quite a while. And through turn 4, gonna minimize at 210. That was not a good turn 4 for Zaidel. And this is probably not going to be a good lap here. Coming across the line, 41.148, the slowest time we have seen so far here today. Gut wrencher there for Justin Zaidel, because that's probably going to put him in the last 9 shootout. So he's probably going to be fighting for a spot in the Indy 250 on Sunday, but we'll just have to wait and see how things hold up. But real unfortunate break there for the 75 of Justin Zaidel. Coming out on the racetrack now, we've got another one of our Indy 250 entries. We got the number 9 of Blain Keys for Trackhouse Racing, I believe making his first IndyCar Series appearance. And he does race full-time, though, over in the Wawa Cup Series, and so far he's done an absolutely incredible job so far this season. Have to see if any of that transpires over here to open wheel. We'll just have to see. But forgot to mention there on Justin Zaidel's lap that time will lock Richard Kinghart into the 2024 Indy 250. So great stuff for Kinghart and that Nathan Ortman Motorsports team. But here we go for Blain Keys. Going to be 220 across the line. And it's going to reach 222 going into turn number 1. Let's see as he goes to turn 2. Going to minimize out at 212. Looking really solid so far here for Blain Keys. Down the back straight away into turn 3. He's going to get up to 224. Going into 3. And we'll see through turn 4. Gonna minimize at 211. Thought I heard him maybe get out of the gas quite a bit there in turn 3, but we'll just see across the line. It is gonna be a 41.054 for Blain Keys. And that is going to put him right behind Logan Williams and Trey Smith and ahead of Skyler Taylor. So that lap is going to lock Blain Keys into the 2024 Indianapolis 250. So awesome stuff there from Keys and that Trackhouse Racing team. They're in to the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Next out onto the racetrack, we've got a driver that's been making waves on the channel as a whole so far this year. We've got the number 52 of Thomas Troxel there for Durrani Racing. Troxel doing absolutely incredible over in the Wawa Cup Series. Pretty sure he's a point leader over there. And over in the Body Armor Pro Series was leading the points there for a bit. Now second in points. Same thing applies to here. Led the points for a little bit. Coming to this race second though. But I know he's probably got a dark cloud looming over his head after what happened here last season. Had a mechanical failure on his out lap that caused him to miss the race. But looking for redemption here this season, although he just barely reached 219 across the line. Let's see, where's he going to minimize out in turn? That's going to be 211 there for Troxel. Oh boy, this is not looking like a good lap for Troxel. Gonna get up to 223 for turn 3. But Thomas's bad luck here in the Indy 250 might continue on another year as he comes across the front straightaway to the line. Thomas Troxel is gonna clock in at a 41.160. And that is going to be below Justin Zaidel. And Troxel provisionally is going to clock in 26th here in Indy 250 qualifying. So that's probably going to put Thomas Troxel in danger of DNQing for the second year in a row. And I know he definitely doesn't want to do that, considering he's second in points. So, gut-wrenching there for the 52 of Thomas Troxel. Next up, out on track, we've got the number 34 of Brennan Wilmington. There for American Motorsports. This is Wilmington's first full-time season, I believe, here in the IndyCar Series. Wilmington did run the Indy 250, though, back in 2022. And I believe he ran the Freedom 50 last year. But, not to mention that Troxel's lap locks Noah Clifton into the Indy 250. So, good stuff there for Clifton, especially coming off of that podium at the Indianapolis road course. But Wilmington looking here to make the race in his first full-time season. Have to see what he can do here today. Coming across the stripe. Just going to be 219. Almost got to 220. Going to get up to 221 entering turn 1. See through turn 2. Going to minimize at 212. We'll see how quick he gets down the back straightaway going into turn number 3. He's going to hit 224 and he's going to hold it for a little bit there. Just have to see how he does through turn 4. Going to minimize at 211. So, bit of an up and down lap here for Brennan Wilmington across the line. See where he's going to clock in. It's going to be a 40.999. How about that? That's going to put Wilmington in provisionally 6th position. And at the moment, he's in the Fast 9. So what a lap there from Brennan Wilmington. And that is going to lock him into the Indianapolis 250. Wow. Good stuff there from the 34. And he's, like I said, he's got a good shot here at the Fast 9, but still have 9 more cars left to go. Have to see how that holds here for the remainder of Indy 250 single car qualifying here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Next up for our 28th driver to qualify here today, we've got the number 98 of Jay Knapp there for NS Racing. Knapp has had a very tough season so far up to this point. Coming in this race, 29th in the standings. Looking, though, to potentially turn his season around. And we're at that point now where, unfortunately, we are going to have to start knocking drivers into the last 9. Thomas Troxel on the bubble right now with a 41.160. We'll have to see how Jay Knapp does here. But coming down the front straightaway to begin his lap, Jay Knapp crossed the line. It's gonna just barely reach 219 and only 220 into turn number 1. Not looking good so far for Jay Knapp through turn 2. Gonna minimize at 211. See how quick he can get down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Gonna get up to 223, but just barely. Not looking good here for the 98 of Jay Knapp. And through turn 4, minimizing at 210. This is gonna be definitely one of the slower times that we've seen so far here today. We'll have to see across the line, 41.224. And that is going to put Jay Knapp in 28th, and that is going to put him in the last 9. So he will be going at it on Sunday to try and fight for a spot in the Indy 250. So tough break there for Jay Knapp. And that lap is going to lock Luna in the 16 for Scuderia Team Velocity into the 2024 Indianapolis 250. But man, tough break there for Jay Knapp and NS Racing. Next up, got the number 20 of Avery Alford. Driving here for BO Racing in that Home Depot Chevrolet. Alford won at COTA earlier this year. Has had a pretty good season here so far. Coming into this race, 14th in the standings. So a solid year here for Avery Alford, looking to make it here into this race. But Thomas Troxel still on the bubble of the last 9 with a 41.160. I have to see what Avery Alford can do here on his lap. Coming down the front straightaway across the line. Alford is going to get to 219, just barely missed out on 220. Going to get up to 221 into turn 1. Through turn 2, going to minimize at 212. See. Quickie gets into turn 3. Is he going to reach 224? Yes, he is. Into turn 3. And we'll see where he minimizes here in turn 4. Going to minimize at 211 for Alford. So this could potentially be a lap that will get him into the Indy 250. We'll see. It's going to be a 41.060. That will effectively, or provisionally, put him in 16th. So Avery Alford is locked into the Indianapolis 250 with that lap. And unfortunately, that is going to bump Thomas Troxel into the last 9. So tough break for him there. But great stuff there from the number 20 of Avery Alford. And now BO Racing has got both their cars locked in to the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Next up, we got another 250 on the entry. We got the number 28 of Corey Case there in the entry for American Motorsports, looking to make their first IndyCar Series start here in the Indianapolis 250. He's had some pretty solid, he had a really solid run there in main practice. Looking to potentially make his way here in the Indy 250. The Indy 250 on the entries have done very solidly here today so far. I have to see if Corey Case can continue on this trend, but taking a look now, on the bubble is the 75 of Justin Zeidel with a 41.148. But Corey Case down the front straightaway to begin his lap. 219 across the line for Case. Gonna get up to 221 into turn 1. Through turn 2, gonna minimize at 211. There for Corey Case. Not looking the best so far. But we saw with Wilmington, you can pick it up in the second half. See if he can do it here. Up to 223 in turn 3. And coming through turn 4, going to minimize at 210. There for Corey Case. See where he clocks in. Down the front straightaway. It is going to be a 41.132 for Corey Case. And that is actually going to tie him with Angel Gutierrez. So, unfortunately, that is going to bump Justin Zeidel into the last 9. And also, unfortunately, that is going to put Corey Case right on the bubble. Because he tied with Angel Gutierrez, and Gutierrez, of course, is full-time, so is in a better spot in points. So Corey Case now, right on the bubble already, to be put into the last 9. So tough break there for Corey Case. We'll have to wait and see how he hangs on, but with that, that is going to lock Pria McShane into the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Next up, we've got our last of the Indy 250 only entries, and the fastest Indy 250 only entry in main practice. We got the number 69 of Bryce Egan there for Durrani Racing, looking to make his first start here in the IndyCar Series, running full-time, I believe his first full-time season right now over in the Wawa Cup Series. Have to see how he does here in an open wheeler, but on the bubble now, we got the number 28 of Corey Case with a 41.132. I'll have to see what kind of time Bryce Egan can set here today. But here we go. Coming down the front straightaway, across the line, 219 for Egan, and is going to get to 221 here in turn 1. Through turn 2, going to minimize here at 212. So down the back straight away into turn 3. Is he going to be able to get up to 224? Yes, he is. 224 into turn 3. Through turn 4, let's see, going to minimize at 211. This might be good enough here to lock himself into the Indy 250. Let's see, cross the line, 41.039 for Bryce Egan, and that is going to put him in provisionally 12th position, I believe, between Tanner Partin and Aaron Abel. So good stuff there for Bryce Egan. He's locked into the Indianapolis 250, and unfortunately, Corey Case is going to have to fight for a spot in the Indy 250 in the last 9 shootout. Tough break there for Case, but excellent job here from the number 69 of Bryce Egan. He's in the Indianapolis 250. Just 5 drivers left to go here in Indy 250 single car qualifying day 1. And coming up now, we got the 00 of Christian Vargas there, driving for Dog Pound Incorporated. Of course, the car that brought Luna to the championship last season. Vargas has had a pretty up and down season so far, entering this race 22nd in the points standings. But he has had some strong performances, though. I don't think that 22nd in points justifies how quick Christian Vargas has looked this season. Just had some bad luck in the way, but have to see how he does here. On the bubble now is a 2023 Indy 250 champion of Angel Gutierrez, but Christian Vargas almost 221 across the line, and it's going to reach 222 into turn number 1. Through turn 2, going to minimize at 213. Looking quick so far here for Christian Vargas. See how quick he gets into turn number 3. He's going to reach 225. This is a fast 9 time right here. He might even rival Audra Baranauskas' time right here through turn 4. Going to minimize at barely at 211. But coming down the front straightaway across the line, it's going to be a 40.898 for Christian Vargas. That's going to put him second on the board between Baranauskas and Mathews. And, of course, that's going to lock Christian Vargas into the Indy 250. And, yeah, that's also going to lock him into the Fast 9. Because, well, there's not enough drivers left to knock him out, even if they do go quicker than him. So, Vargas, excellent job there by the driver of that 00. And, unfortunately, that is going to knock out the 49 of Angel Gutierrez. And your 2023 Indy 250 champion is going to be going to the last 9 shootout here. Tough break for Angel Gutierrez. But man, what an absolute flyer of a lap there from the 00 of Christian Vargas. Next up, we've got the 07 car of John Andrews there for Dracoan Racing Enterprises. Making his way out onto the racetrack. Got 4 drivers left here in qualifying. And now we've got Zachary Fitzwater on the bubble there with a 41.130. I'll tell y'all what, we have got some strong names that are currently knocked into the last 9. You've got Jay Knapp, Thomas Troxel, Justin Zidell, Corey Case, Angel Gutierrez, and now Zachary Fitzwater, the IndyCar all-time wins leader, currently on the bubble of having to fight for a spot in the Indy 250. But John Andrews, 220 across the line, gonna get to 222 in turn 1. 50's probably not liking this. It's already looking like a pretty solid lap here from John Andrews through turn 2, minimizing at 212. Looking very good here so far for John Andrews into turn 3. He's going to reach 224. Not quite 225, but he held 224 there for quite a bit. And through turn 4 here, going to minimize at 2:11, but just barely got down there. This is going to be a good lap here from John Andrews. Maybe even Fast 9 worthy. We'll have to see. Cross the line, 40.959. That is going to put John Andrews in 4th place, provisionally, right ahead of Chris Reynolds. So he's locked into the Indianapolis 250, and unfortunately, Zachary Fitzwater is going to have to fight in the last 9 shootout tomorrow. That is, oh man, that is honestly incredible right there. Goodness gracious, but John Andrews up to 4th on the board here in Indy 250 qualifying, and got 3 drivers left to go. Next up, we've got another heavy hitter. Got the number 41 of Angel Oliveira here for Trackhouse Racing. Oliveira has had a great season up to this point so far. Coming into this race 4th in the standings, but honestly, Angel Oliveira has pretty much finished in the top 5 almost every single race. Actually, I think Oliveira has almost finished in the top 5 every single race that she hasn't been involved in something. And he started off the season with 4 top 5s in a row and a win at Willow Springs. Fortunately, got into a pit road mishap at Coda. Got involved in an accident at Richmond. Sorry, back a little bit, but turn the season around here today. It's 220 across the line for Angel Oliveira, 222 into turn 1. And now on the bubble is the 13 of Max Anderson with a 41.123. And this is looking like a good lap so far here for Angel Oliveira. Minimized at 212 there off of turn number 2. And looking really quick here down the backstretch up to 224. Not quite going to get up to 225, but once again held at 224 for quite a while before going into the corner. Through turn 4, going to minimize at 211. I think we might see a Fast 9 time coming right here out of Angel Oliveira. Let's see, at the line, going to clock in at a 40.948. That is going to put Oliveira in 4th, right ahead of John Andrews, right behind Dylan Mathews. Actually, just 1,000th of a second off of Mathews' time. So Oliveira is going to the Fast 9, and unfortunately, Max Anderson has been bumped to the last 9. So tough break there for Max Anderson, but what a lap there from Angel Oliveira. Oliveira's going to be going for pole tomorrow in the Fast 9 shootouts. Have to see how that 41 car does. Looking forward to see how it all goes down. Alright, 2 cars left to go here in Indy 250 single car qualifying. Up next, got the number 25 of Landon Smith Jr. for Wisconsin Speedworks. Smith Jr.'s had a pretty tough season up to this point. Coming into this race, 27th in the point standings, but had a little bit of a silver lining there. Had a good run there at Kansas, showed a lot of speed. Probably would have got the win there if it wasn't for lap traffic troubles, but Smith Jr. looking to potentially turn his season around. He's shown he's got speed. Have to see what he can do here today. But now on the bubble is the 5, Bradyn Perez with a 41.107. I have to see if he can hang on. But Landon Smith Jr. across the line, it's going to be 220. And it's going to be 222 going into turn number 1. Good looking lap so far here from Landon Smith Jr. Through turn 2 is going to minimize at 212. Looking really good here so far. It seems like cars have turned on the jets here in the second half, but these were the fastest cars in main practice after all. Going to reach 224 into turn 3. And here we go, through turn 4, gonna minimize at 211 down the front straightaway. Well, let's see, Landon Smith Jr. is gonna clock in at a 40.984. That is going to put him in 7th, right ahead of Bradshaw. And he will have a spot in the Fast 9, so great stuff there from Landon Smith Jr. there in that 25, and unfortunately that's going to knock Braden Perez into the last 9. So tough break there, but good stuff there from Landon Smith Jr. Got one more car left to go, here in Indy 250 single car qualifying. Here we go, our 36th and final driver out here for Indy 250 single car qualifying. Got the number 24, Bruno Diacomo, your quickest driver in Indy 250 main practice. And for Nathan Orman Motorsports. Started out the season with a pole at Homestead, and it's been got a little bit of a struggle since. Coming in this race 25th in points. Seeing that he knows how to get it done in qualifying, have to see how he does here. Now, on the cut line is the 35, Igor Barreto, probably sweating bullets now, seeing as how fast all these cars have been lately. But we'll see here for Bruno Diacomo, 219 across the line. Gonna get up to 221 in turn 1. This is gonna be interesting. Through turn 2, gonna minimize at 211. Looking pretty interesting so far here for Bruno Diacomo. We'll just have to wait and see into turn 3. 223 there for the 24. This might be good enough to make it into the field. Gonna minimize there at 210 through turn 4. And here we go, our final time of the day. Across the stripe, Bruno Diacomo with a 41.142. Diacomo does not make it into the field. He's in the last 9 shootout. That's going to put him in 33rd, ahead of Zeidel and behind Case. Man, that is a tough break there for Bruno Diacomo. And that is going to secure Igor Barreto a spot in the Indianapolis 250. He'll be starting 27th. But Bruno Diacomo now at risk of DNQing for the Indy 250. That's a tough break for him, especially after setting the quickest time there in Indy 250 main practice. But yeah, man, tough break there for Bruno Diacomo. He'll have to fight for his spot in the Indy 250 tomorrow, along with Braden Perez, Max Anderson, Zachary Fitzwater, Angel Gutierrez, Corey Case, Justin Zeidel, Thomas Troxel, and Jay Knapp. And with that, we have concluded day 1 of 2024 Indy 250 single car qualifying here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A lot of interesting things we saw here today. But taking a look at short results here from day 1 of qualifying, and taking a look here, your Fast 9 that will be going for the pole tomorrow include Audra Baranauskas in the 33, who set the fastest time with a 40.774. And then looking further on down, you've got Christian Vargas, Dylan Mathews, Angel Oliveira, John Andrews, Chris Reynolds, Landon Smith Jr., Bradley Bradshaw, and Ace Garcia will all be going for the pole tomorrow. Then going further on down, Brennan Wilmington will be starting on the outside of row 5 in the 2024 Indianapolis 250. And then going further down, row 6 will be Brad Stover and Nicolas Samudio. Row 7 will be John Stewart and Loudovick Charette. Row 8 will be Tanner Partin and Bryce Egan. Row 9, Aaron Abel and Logan Williams. Row 10, Trey Smith and Blain Keys. Row 11, Avery Alford and Skyler Taylor. Row 12, Richard Kinghart and Noah Clifton. Row 13, Luna Loda and Pria McShane and Igor Barreto will be starting inside row 14 for the 2024 Indianapolis 250. And then looking further on down, you've got your drivers that will be fighting for their spot in the Indy 250 in the last 9 shootout. 3 of these drivers will unfortunately go home, but will get to race in the Freedom 50 as a consolation. These drivers include Braden Perez, Max Anderson, Zachary Fitzwater, Angel Gutierrez, Corey Case, Bruno Diacomo, Justin Zeidel, Thomas Troxel, and Jay Knapp. A lot of really strong names down there. You know, Zachary Fitzwater, the winningest IndyCar driver, Angel Gutierrez, the 2023 Indy 250 winner, and Thomas Troxel, who's sitting second in points right now, does not want to DNQ again. But this is going to be an interesting session tomorrow. It's It's going to be a fun one to watch unfold. We'll just have to wait and see how things go. But that will do it for day one of qualifying here for the 2024 Indianapolis 250. Tomorrow at the same time, noon Eastern Standard Time, will be the last 9 and Fast 9 shootouts. And Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we've got carb day practice, all leading up to the 11th running of the Indianapolis 250. Saturday, May 25th at noon Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you all there. It's going to be a great one. But that will do it for today's festivities. And as always, y'all take care and have a good one.